We are live, a new edition of the Let's Go Ricky Roll podcast with Thole and Beto. Before we bring in Josh Thole, who was a big hit, and I want to have Thole on deck right now because I have some positive comments, Rick, of Josh Thole being added to the podcast. What'd you hear?
Yeah, I heard the same thing, man. It was pretty cool. I think everyone likes the dynamic of having a pitcher and a catcher on board, and we get to explain both sides. I think I dug into a little bit last episode about how cool that was going to be, and a lot of positive feedback. He was pumped. He said he got a lot of positive feedback too. So I'm excited for today's show. We have a guest. It should be really exciting.
Yeah, and as far as everybody leaving comments about last week's audio issues, okay, it was raining in LA. The one time of the year it rains, so you heard the thunderstorms. I do the show from the garage, and there's no insulation, so I don't know anything else. So that's what you heard in the beginning. And Ricky's microphone, I messed up. I didn't have his level set up, but we went and tested it, and you can actually see it on the screen. We're ready to go, and the man who is just all fired up as always, Josh Thole, in his beautiful studio in upstate New York. Thole, wait till you hear the comments of how much people love you, man.
Chomping at the bits again, boys. Let's go.
All right, before we get going, Thole, I don't know much about you besides just the guy who led Johan Santana to a no-hitter. You live on a farm and you were a roofer yesterday? Is that true?
Yeah. Should we show the people?
Oh yeah.
Where I was yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah. Let me pull this up for you guys.
Because this dude really is living retirement. For those of you wondering about Josh Thole's social media, it doesn't exist. I'm so jealous of him. But he is a guy that lives in upstate New York on a farm. But Thole, while you're looking for that picture, let's shout out Derek, Pantor4 on Instagram. He said, hey, good move having Thole join the podcast. I've heard him on other podcasts. He has a very engaging and friendly demeanor. Can't wait to hear more from you. More great content. Please get Ricky a new microphone, LOL. I wrote back to him, please leave that on the iTunes rate and review on YouTube, all that other good stuff. The microphone has been fixed. So we appreciate you, Derek. All right, Thole, what do you got?
There it is. Not only a knuckleball specialist, but a roofer.
Wow, he does it all.
Yeah, I
Rick,
do it all. Jack of all trade, master of none, boys.
Rick, could you get on a roof right now and do that kind of work?
Hell no, man. Hell no.
Hell no.
It's like I said, it's been cool having Josh. We're an episode in, and you can just feel the energy of us texting back and forth about our next guest and how it was going to be and all that good stuff. So this episode should be pretty cool. We want to dig dive into a little bit about the DH. So that should be fun.
Yeah, and Brad Urbanovitz, I hope I'm saying your name right. UK fan. I said I tried watching it, but we're going to get better. Love that Thole is on here. Not the best catcher, thanks, but he sure can talk. There it is. And so whatever comment you guys leave on our Let's Go Ricky Roll Instagram page, I'm going to read it on the show. So if you're going to try to... Nice. Yeah, no. If you're going to... Everybody's super nice. So just know that we read all the comments. We appreciate you, and we do have a lot of fun with it. So today's topic, what we're going to do with the show is we're going to have a theme every single week and try to bring somebody on. If we have a guest, cool. If not, don't worry about it. Today's guest, and you guys talked about it, former teammate of yours, Adam Lind, who was the DH for a lot of years. And we're going to talk to him about what it's like being a DH, and then just catch up with him. And then we'll hang up with Adam, and then we'll recap the show. So we're here for you every single Tuesday, 10 a.m. We are live. Ruben Polanco checks in. Mr. Boxing Guru checking in. So we are doing this live for you right now. Thole, why did you want to do the DH topic?
Well, I'm intrigued at how the conversation has shifted from the COVID last year, the rules having a DH in both leagues, and then this year you get voting out to say, no, we're going to go back to how it used to be. I find it intriguing as to who takes what side of the coin. And I grew up watching the Cardinals, so I grew up in the National League. I came up with the Mets. National League Baseball is, the strategy behind it is significantly, there's more, obviously, right?
Okay.
As far as double switches, when the pitcher comes to hit. how you pretty much make your roster. And this is a topic that I love to talk about and I love to debate, and I really do enjoy hearing other people's point of view on it.
And here he is joining us right now. Oh, he was dialing. Okay, well, when he dials back, we'll get him. It's an interesting topic. And I, as a guy who covered a lot of Dodger games for a lot of years, wish that the DH was there in the National League, because the last thing you need to see is Grady Little making another double switch. Coming.
No, but it really is an interesting topic, because you find yourself, you talk to players, and it's pretty split. Like, some guys like it, some guys don't. I mean, I came up in the AL East, and that's all I knew. I mean, you're facing Vladdy Guerrero Senior. I'm talking about Hideki Matsui, Big Papi. These are the guys that were like, when I was there, these are the guys that you're facing. So you're not facing an extra out in a pitcher. And I mean, and not all pitchers are easy outs. I mean,
Go ahead, Rick. How many hits do you got in the major leagues?
No, it's not even about that. Tim Hudson took me deep one time. Let's talk about that.
Wait, who did?
Tim Hudson. And there's some guys that can hit. There's some guys, like, I remember being in camp with Madison Bumgarner, and he was like, they better not take that DH away. He loves hitting. And it's just pretty interesting how you see both sides of it. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's definitely tougher when you're facing a DH in like a Big Papi, a Vladdy, a Hideki Matsui. I mean, it just adds another element into the game. It also gives a chance for superstars to take a day off and just worry about hitting. It's all that good stuff. I mean, it's way different than the National League.
Thole, you see that bat above Ricky's head?
Yeah.
You know where that's from, right?
It must be the first hit maybe he had.
Indeed, it is. There's a couple of knocks. Ricky, Lynn was trying to check in, so just text him and say what's up, and then I'm going to read a couple other comments we have for right now. This guy on Instagram, you'll love him. His name is Alaska Jones. He's a big supporter of the show, Thole. He loves us. He's up there, always posting about us. So Alaska Jones 907 on Instagram. We appreciate you joining in with us all the time, and it's every single Tuesday. Also, Blue Jay Fans UK. Blue Jay Fans UK. They support us a lot, and they always are leaving nice comments. We appreciate you, Blue Jay Fans UK. Look, I'm an LA guy. I didn't know the reach of Toronto Blue Jays fandom. And as Ricky reminded me, it's an entire country. So we appreciate you leaving comments for everybody else. So we'll get going. All right. I think he is joining us right now. Let's get him in. There it is. Adam Lynn joining the show. Oh, smooth. Smooth right now.
Lindy.
Lindy's a little nervous, man. He's not used to that kind of stuff.
Haven't done this in a while.
Adam, I'm Beto. I'll be the guy conducting this train wreck we got going on right now. But thank you for coming on. How are you? Where are you right now?
I'm in what I call my man cave, in the back. So I tried having the camera face my backyard, but it was so bright, and I blended in with the lightness.
No problem. No problem. And then what is? Oh, hold on. Let me get you your solo shot, Lynn. We'll just get rid of these guys. We don't need them. Hold on. We're doing this live for you. All right, Lindy, behind you, you have those scarves. Liverpool, Ireland. What else you got?
Yeah, it's kind of been a thing I do. When I go on trips with my friends, we try and go somewhere that we have a connection, and then two, we try and mix and match that with soccer games. So over the past 4 or 5 years, I've been going over to Europe and watching football, soccer.
Who's your team?
I mean, the team I follow the most would be like USA soccer, but I just love going over there and going to the pubs and being part of the experience.
Ricky, we got a soccer hooligan on the show, bro.
Yeah, we do, man. I didn't even know that. I remember him talking about it a little bit, that he had gone out there. And, I mean, from when he talked about it, he said that
a completely different atmosphere than you've ever experienced, and you experienced it a little bit, Beto, going up there.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just a whole nother dynamic. I feel like, and like I said, I'm pumped that Lindy joined us. I played with him since '05 when I first got drafted in Dunedin. I joined the team in Dunedin. He was one of the guys that was already there. Probably, and I'm serious when I say this, probably the best AA hitter I ever saw in my time there.
That would get you to the big leagues.
And Tolio agree with this. It was Adam Lynn, and for me, number 2, Kevin Pillar. Because you remember that tear he went in before he got called up. Totally, those 2 guys to me were the best AA hitters I'd ever seen, ever.
Yeah, Lindy, that's a compliment too.
Hey, that's a lot better than a lot of people.
That's right. You got that right.
And I remember I think he got called up out of AA, right, Lindy?
No, I went to AAA for a month.
You went to AAA?
And then went to the big leagues.
Didn't you win the MVP? And you already had left, like you
Mike Basso.
Yeah,
Mike Basso called me into the office, and I thought I was going up to the big leagues, and he really dramatized the moment. And he was like, "I just want to say congratulations, you're the AA Player of the Year." I was like, "I don't even care." That's not
the ultimate dry hump.
That is the ultimate dry hump right there, man.
But that's Mike Basso.
That sucks. That sucks. Yeah, so Lynn, today's theme, we're talking about the DH. Thole, let's go. Take it away.
Yeah, Lindy, I think we've been talking in depth about what we think, different topics, and the DH has been brought up just because of what's going on with the Players Association and Major League Baseball, whether to do it full time in both leagues or not to do it. As I said before you came on, I grew up coming up in the National League, and then I grew up being a Cardinals fan, watching National League baseball games. What's your feel on the DH, and how, before we get into the preparation stuff, what do you think Major League Baseball should do?
I think I mean, I played 2 years in the National League, and it's just, it puts more onus on the manager. I just think it's more of a pure. But if.
Oh, is he freezing a little bit? Yeah, he froze. All right. Oh, there he is. Lynn, that was probably a great answer, but you froze. So.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I enjoy
Wi-Fi.
Pitcher sitting. It would give me a mental break because I wouldn't have from the left side or anything like that.
Yeah, well, that's what I feel about the DH, Lindy, is like there are guys that have DH that enjoy the taking a blow from the defense side of it and not having to rush out to go play defense. But I also think that the purity of the game, that's the one thing that I like. The National League not having a DH because of the purity of the game and the strategy that comes with it. I think for me, watching a National League manager manage and navigate through a Major League Baseball game versus an American League manager are 2 completely different things, and that is an intriguing point of being able to have a mental break from the field and just focus on hitting.
Are you in a studio?
Yeah, he's legit.
Wow.
He is so legit. Look at that.
You got the manager's calendar behind you? I love it.
Dude, he is so legit.
Or Binghamton?
Yeah.
Yeah, near Binghamton. WEBO in Owego, New York. Check it out.
Wow, do you have your own morning show?
No. I just
morning drive with Thole and Ricky Rowe?
We should start doing. Hey, we might have something, Ricky Rowe.
This is Lynn, this is interesting. I'm in my garage in LA, right? Because I'm in my garage. Ricky's in his man cave. You're in your man cave in Indiana, I believe. And the dude.
Florida.
Oh, he's in Florida. And then
He's Indiana's finest.
Oh, he's from Indiana, but he's in Florida. And then the dude who's new to the show has a freaking professional radio setup. Like, what is going? What else did you expect from him? He's all show.
Yeah, it's a great microphone.
Lindy, the problem is I live out in the country and I have no internet service and I have no cell phone service. So this is my next best.
Adam, let me ask you this: when you're coming up as a baseball player and then you get there and they tell you, "Hey, you're going to be primarily a DH," how do you take that?
It's either being the big leagues or, being AAA. There's no. When I found that out, I was a younger player. I was probably 26, 27, but there's no. What are you going to say? No. So I had to accept it, and. I actually DH'd a lot in my late 20s, but then, when I got older, I played in the NL for 2 years. When I was in Seattle, we had Nelson Cruz, so he DH'd. So I had a few years that I got to enjoy being DH, but I didn't. Towards the end of my career, I didn't DH all that much.
Huh? We went backwards.
But you can don't let anybody forget this guy can play first base too.
Yeah.
No, it was, and then we had Edwin, and I just got pushed. They wanted me to DH, but there were just so many better hitters than me, so they had to put me at first base because I was a nice supporting player.
No, but this guy could literally wake out of bed and rake. He was like, you'd see him walk up to the plate, and you're like, this guy rakes. The first time I ever saw him, that was my initial thought. I was like, whoa, like. This guy rakes. They're like, oh, wait till you watch this guy. He drops bombs. He hits the ball everywhere. And sure enough, next thing you know, we're in high A, double A, and then I'm watching him in the big leagues, and he's doing his thing. And then I joined him as a teammate. And I mean, in 2009, you win the Edgar Martinez Award, the best DH of that year, and it just showed that I don't think with Adam it was ever about ego. It was more, all right, you want me to DH? That's what I'll do. Whenever you need me to go play left field, I'll go play left field. If you need me at first base, I'll go play first base. Whatever it was, he never got too high. He never got too low. You just never saw it with him.
Well, I didn't let it affect me. They just said you're DHing. I never let it get into my head that I wasn't. It really messes with some people's minds, and they can't adjust. But fortunately, I have the mentality where it is what it is, and
now how do you
embrace the fears?
Okay, so take me through your routine. The day you know you're DHing, do you even have a glove in your locker?
Yeah, I was never that big league.
You think
camp with your bats only?
Yeah, only Frank Thomas showed up with a bat.
I'm just asking the dumb questions that the fans are going to say. Like, okay, if I'm a DH, why do I even need a glove? Okay, but you're right. You're also a guy that they can put in at the end of games to get going, and if you need him at first base, all right. So you're different. But now when you're DH, what do you do? Like, do you sit in the dugout the entire time? Do you go underneath in the cage and hit? Like, what's a DH's routine during a game?
I just sat there. Ricky would know I considered myself the sixth starting pitcher. Pitchers. But no, I didn't hit a whole lot. I'm an interesting guy, I guess. I just didn't let it affect me. I just went up there and took my 5 at-bats and went home.
And Lindy, you would say this, I could echo the same thing playing with guys that DH full time. Like the mental capacity that you have to be a major league DH is significantly different than just playing both ways, playing defense and playing offense. Like there's guys that get wrenched mentally that are like starting to learn the DH role. I mean, there's no truer statement than that.
Yeah, just to get some people's heads. Some people, like people that don't DH every day, like it would be their most exhausting day because they feel like they'd have to be in the cage. The only time they weren't in the cage was when they were hitting in the game. And obviously when you get a hit your first at bat or you're 2 for 3, it's a way easier to DH than when you're 0 for 4, and you just sit there and think about how bad of a hitter you are and you're supposed to be the best hitter.
That's what I always said as a
would you-
DH. It's like
if you-
if no,
You
that's
there?
what I was saying, Lindy. Is if you get to a spot where you go 0 for 4, and you're like, "Geez, I really came to the field and did nothing today." I remember in the minor leagues, you DH, and it was like, I don't want to DH because I can at least maybe help the team defensively because I stink right now hitting. So this is the bad idea.
Well, I had so many people tell me I was bad defensively. I was like hurting the team being out there. I
That's
felt
not
like
true. That's
I was
not
helping
true.
not being out in the outfield or at first base.
If you
Yeah.
if you were the commissioner, Lindy, would you have a DH both leagues? Which way would you go? Or would
No,
you leave it the way it is?
I wouldn't. I'd leave it the way it is.
You wouldn't. Really?
Why?
What is the way it is now? Is it both DHs?
No,
No.
it's National League, American League.
Pitcher. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same as always.
Yeah, I would. It's confusing.
Right. Well, it keeps changing all the time, right? Like they wanted to do the universal DH again this year, and they didn't do it. But it's like, yeah, it is
Well,
confusing.
I think there's a lot of variables that can go into it. I think players want it because it gets more players in the league, but it's going to hurt pitchers' stats. So what's it going to do to like arbitration and things like that? Because if there's a DH, the pitcher's numbers aren't going to be quite as good, but you're also going to be giving more people an opportunity to have a position on the team.
I would agree with that, but there's also a piece of it though with the pinch hitting. Like teams tend to carry larger benches in the National League because of the pinch hitting. Now, pinch hitting role, that's a different conversation, right? Like how hard is it to be a pinch hitter? You play in the National League at the end, Lindy. Like what is that like? I mean, coming off the bench, I watched him. Justin Turner was one of the best younger in his career coming off the bench, but that's hard. So, anyways, back to the DH thing, though, it does allow guys to come on as pinch hitters and stuff like that. But it is the main argument that I've heard a lot is how it can affect pitchers from base running and their legs hurt and those type of things. And I don't have time for that. I think it's a poor excuse. My legs hurt.
Yeah. All they do in between their starts is squats and lunges and split squats,
yeah.
And maybe if they didn't run 30 minutes every other day, their legs wouldn't hurt.
Let them know, Lindy. Let them know.
This is what happens when you have two hitters and one pitcher in this podcast here, Beto. They pile on the pitchers, but I think I see both sides of it. I'm not leaning towards one side more than the other. It's just I feel like when that's all you've ever seen, you're like, all right. But then when you look at Edwin Encarnacion still out there, you're like, if he would benefit out of a universal DH, in the National League, he would help a team. And we talked about the sampling of 60 games. It's tough, Sometimes it takes hitters a little longer than that to get going throughout the season, and I firmly believe that it's hurting him a little bit. Lindy didn't officially retire, and he still, I feel like he could still go get out of bed and go and rake.
Adam, right now, could you, if you're in spring training, could you just show up and get a couple bombs?
At 5 o'clock.
No problem.
Well, that's where I was just done because I was just done having projectiles at 98 miles per hour thrown at me. I was over that, especially in AAA.
Well, and then you watched. I saw Ichiro yesterday facing live pitching in the Seattle camp, and you're just like, what the hell is this guy doing? And it's just. I feel like a lot of guys, Edwin, Lindy, like they can get up there and battle it out against some pitchers for sure.
I mean, I could go out there for a week right now. I don't think there's after a couple years off, there's no way I could go out for 6 months.
Adam, let me ask you these dumb questions here as a guy just watching from the press box. When they start throwing 98 and you're cold and you're coming in as a pinch hitter, what the hell is going through your mind?
Well, was definitely more warmed up or had a sweat going when I was a pinch hitter as opposed to DHing, because you got to be ready for that first pitch in 98, and if you're cold and stiff, it's going to hurt, especially if you swing and miss. And you got to have your eyes ready. So I was always in the cage before I would pinch hit, and
Okay.
pinch hitting, there was you could tell whether the pitcher was coming up or like one of your light hitting infielders was hitting, and you needed a little more of a potent bat. Then you could kind of read the manager's mind.
Now, what about this one? Watching pitchers hit as a professional hitter that you were, and when you're watching a pitcher go up there and they don't even know how to grab the bat, what are you thinking?
Just get my glove and get ready to go play defense. Because their legs hurt, so they don't want to hit and swing and run. So they got to go there and take. Because they don't want their hands to hurt. Because
I wanted to run. I just couldn't unhook that trailer, man. There's no way.
You and me both, Ricky, and I was a real player.
Beto's probably the fastest one here.
I'm ready to go. Now, this once again, I'm a member of the media here in LA. I'd always watch when interleague was coming up. You would see Dodger pitchers all of a sudden out there taking BP in a different way. They're not bunting like Kershaw and these other dudes were actually trying to hit as a hitter. And you're watching the pitchers taking real BP getting to the outfield. Are you what are you guys doing wasting people's time?
Yeah, and they're gambling and they're talking smack to each other.
Yes!
You can hit it from the warning track. And they have their own special guy that throws BP, like the third base coach always throws BP to the pitchers.
No, they don't.
And you have to come out super early because nobody wants to watch that shit. Nobody. It's just you're out there with the coach and the pitching coach and making sure nobody gets hurt.
But if you can't tell by stories, they don't want to hit because their legs hurt. But their favorite part of the week is the day they get to take batting practice.
Is batting practice, yeah. Hey, Lindy, there's more that comes with hitting. That's what I always used to tell these guys. Once you strike the ball, you have to run, and if you hit the ball in the gap, you got to run 180 feet. You know how far that is, right?
Oh.
Yeah, don't hurt yourself. You pitch once every 5 days, Ricky. I'm not trying to get on you, but
I tell this story all the time. My first career bat was in Philadelphia against Cole Hamels, and Dwayne Murphy was our hitting coach, Lindy. And I remember coming in after that first at bat, and he's just laughing. He's like, "What do you got, kid?" I was like, "Man, I will never talk shit on a hitter ever again." And till that day, my respect to you guys because it's not an easy thing, and these guys will tell you it's not easy. And Lindy, towards the end of his career, he's got guys throwing 98 every single day, 100, out of the bullpen, and it's just a completely different ball game now as when we came up in 09, and it doesn't even seem like it's that far. Like it wasn't that far long ago that happened, and now you got guys, every guy's 103, 104, and it's like really normal, It's just the thing that everyone does.
103.
Well, the thing that I miss was getting 3 or 4 at bats against one pitcher, and now that doesn't. You might have, if you're lucky with some teams like Tampa or Milwaukee, you might face the starter, the opener, once, twice. You're not getting those at bats anymore where you get to get in rhythm with the pitcher.
Well, that's the thing, Lindy. I do agree with it. I mean, I remember going into Philadelphia and facing that staff. Well, Charlie used to let his pitchers go 130 pitches, so there was no working counts. I mean, you were getting a guy for 3 or 4 at bats, and you could work the at bat, and you had a plan going in. Now there's no plan. These dudes are just firing balls in there, just throwing it forward, and you get them one time and on to the next guy throwing it forward.
Yeah, it's hitting is definitely much more difficult now than it was 6 years ago.
Hey,
is it really more difficult though, Lindy, or have we made it more difficult?
Ooh.
Well, I think they have 26-man rosters now, so they added a pitcher. They weren't going to put a position player in the roster. I mean, just look, averages. I mean, homers are up, but I think averages are way down.
Yeah.
And strikeouts are
Through the
record
roof.
setting every year. So,
Yeah.
it's a different time.
It's all, and it wasn't that far ago, and you guys are still in your 30s, and you're sounding like the old man, like back in my day. And it's not that you guys are, but it's not that you guys are old. It's just the way the game has changed, seemingly overnight. It's like you don't recognize it, because if it was an Adam Lynn right now in Double A, what he's being told is completely different from what he was told in 2005 and 6. It would be, Adam, just swing for the fences and forget about everything else, because he's all these different analytics that we care about compared to what you guys were brought up with. And that's kind of like we like doing this podcast, Adam, is because you get the perspective of guys who are just right there in that transition, but you still educate the fan about what's going on. Ricky, do me a favor, turn up your microphone just a little bit so you get a little. You don't have to get that close, but just turn it up a little bit more.
Okay.
Adam, and since we are live and you are doing fantastic, ripping Ricky and Thole right now, we have a question for you. Did you ever get an offer or try to play in Asia towards the end of your career?
I tried, but that was about as far as I tried. Me saying that. I wanted to go, but I didn't know where to begin or who to talk to. My agent didn't really give me
any
reviews.
So you
on
would
that,
have gone.
so.
If the
Yeah, I mean,
you would have gone.
If someone invited me to spring training right now, I would be there.
Really? All right. What about Mexico, Thole? Take him down there.
To Mexico?
Yeah.
I mean, I almost went 2 years ago out of independent ball, but somebody told me my career would have really been over then.
I mean, it's pretty much it's the end when you go.
That's
you
what they
have
say.
to come to a realization that that's going to be the end.
So
Hey,
then I
you
found
make
a
a lot of money.
studio, and now I'm on the radio.
Yeah. There you go.
Better place.
Adam, as you oh, go ahead, Rick.
No, and I was going to just talk about Lindy a little bit more. I mean, I also can't forget the 3-homer game at Fenway. Another great performance he put up. He hit 3 home runs one night at Fenway, and fucking Papelbon came and smoked him in the last at bat.
No.
Yeah.
Why?
We were hoping that he was going to go for that 4th. I'm sure he wanted it too, and it was just one of those things where it didn't. And I remember, rest in peace, Doc Halliday. But the next day, he stood up for him and smoked Big Poppy first at bat.
Really?
Yeah.
Doc
Poppy
came.
had an elbow guard. I didn't.
Yeah, he did.
Let me follow up with that then, Adam. You're in the zone. You're hitting. Why the fuck are they hitting you, man? Like, I hate that about the game. Like, you're doing your job, so why do you deserve to get hit in their eyes?
Well, I think Papelbon is a bit of an old school guy, and that's just
Okay, well,
come into Fenway.
all right. Forget old school. But why?
It's probably just easier to hit somebody if someone's got 3 homers. It's easier to do that than to pitch to them.
It's okay. It's stupid,
funny,
right?
He turned around.
That
in the
hurts.
dugout
I know that.
and he apologized too, and I'm like, what are you apologize? Like, he was like, I'm sorry to our whole dugout, and everyone was livid. You know, everyone's like screaming and yelling. I'm just a young pup, so I'm just kind of sitting there like, whoa, like this really just happened. It was just one.
I
of
didn't
those
even know
things
that. I didn't even know that happened because I wasn't around.
So you went up there knowing you were getting smoked.
No.
Oh.
No. I didn't know.
Lindy would be the last person to pimp a home run too, so he was that guy that would have just hit him and run the bases, and that was it. It was just one of those things where he felt like he needed to hit him, or 3 home runs, that's too many for you, man. Here you go, boom.
But that's his job, right?
You would think, right? I mean, it's that part of the game I don't agree with. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just,
so
hey, the guy's doing his job.
So you have Big Adam Lynn on the ground because his back is just a big bruise now because a ball hit him at 98. Papelbon says, "Oh, I'm sorry" to the dugout. You guys are woofing, and Lynn is just there like, "Oh, guys."
Somebody come get me.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Or like I can't breathe right now.
They always say if you can't get him out, you might as well hit him. This probably was his theory.
Now, okay, Thole, you, the catcher, knowing that's happening?
I mean, I've never had a conversation with a pitcher to drill somebody after 3 home runs, unless a guy is just really aggressive on the pimp and showing your team up. Then that's a different story.
Of course.
I can assure you that was not the story with Lindy. That was an ego thing that got in Papelbon's way, I would imagine, and he just smoked him. Hey, pitchers can be a little loose cannons. They're not sharpest knives in the drawer.
League.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Right, because they don't have to hit, right, Lynn?
Right. Ever.
Yeah. But like I said, I think the coolest part, or not the coolest part, but it was like a veteran like Doc Halladay having his back and coming after Big Papi the next day and saying, you know what, I'm coming after you. Obviously, he had an elbow guard. That ball bounced like all the way to second base. And Big Papi knew it. He didn't even look at Doc. Like, he might have just like glanced at him, but he took off his elbow pad, dropped his bat, and went to first base.
And that ended it?
You should be mad at Papelbon. You know, it's his fault, you know, why you're getting hit.
One more question. Jesse Reynoso, toughest pitcher you faced in your major league career, Adam?
Felix Hernandez. That's easy. He was nasty. 98, change up at like 92, curveball, shoulders to ankles. He was stuff-wise, number 1 or 2 I'd ever. Dylan Betances had the best curveball, but he didn't have a changeup, and Felix had all 3. He was an amazing pitcher.
I thought you were going to say, and you know where I'm going with this, Lindy, I thought you were going to say Randy Choate, man.
Actually, when I went to Milwaukee, I owned that guy. It was like 3. He was throwing like, I can't,
JT, he would come in, he'd be warming up, and Lindy would be on the on-deck circle, and he'd be like, oh, fuck, again? Madden brought him in every single time, face Lindy. Every single time. Every single time it was a big situation, Randy Choate's coming in to face just you know, and
there's always your one guy that haunts you, huh, Lindy?
But that's the part of the game that I missed a little bit. It was like, you know, where it was a cat and mouse game, and it's like, okay, Adam Lynn, he's raking, he rakes. I'm gonna bring in the lefty for one hitter, boom, get him out. He'd come in 2-3 pitches or whatever it was, get him out. You know, that was his day, and I think that's a little bit of what the game is missing now. I feel like there was a lot of cat and mouse, no numbers. It was me against you. No matter what you did, like if Lindy hit a home run off of him that night, I guarantee you Madden would bring him again the next night. You know, there was no question. Like,
but that's and Adam, that's where the game is changing so much. Right now we have 3 minimum batters. It's just like, I always say this: if they think that's going to speed up the game from 3 hours and 1 minute to 2 hours and 55 minutes, like, people that like watching baseball are still going to watch the game. Like that, there's no it's the same. That's what bothers me, because I enjoyed those days. I really did, of the managing, the cat and mouse type of managing style.
Yeah, you try not to relive those type of moments.
Adam, moving on from this, we always try to ask different questions to the guests, and we're moving on. Your first day in the major leagues, where was it? How was it? Who was there? How much do you remember?
It was at Fenway. I remember watching the game in Boston the night before, and like Alex Rios went for a pop-up down in the corner in Fenway, and it like hit his glove and bounced over. And Doc Halladay went nuts because he was pitching. I was like, oh man, it's gonna be like a real like comfortable environment tomorrow. I mean, I remember getting there, going out to the cage, because the cage was in center field, and like my roommate's song in college was like 6 in the morning by I don't even remember. 6 in the morning, 6 in the morning, and they played it when I walked out of the dugout, and it just eased my mind, because it was like a song that that was played in locker rooms and in my dorm room, you know, 4 years prior to that. And that's my biggest memory of my first day in the big league. I didn't play my first day, but my biggest memory was hearing that song as I walked out of the dugout. I know, great memory. Great.
Hey, Lindy, and when you see Doc Halladay act like that, were you like, oh shit, I don't want to ever mess something up if I'm playing defense behind him?
That's why I asked him DH. I wouldn't have to deal with it.
And it's true. It's a true story. It's a true story, guys. A lot of guys will tell you the guys that played Bautista when he was coming up, he was playing third base. He's like, dude, I was scared shitless to make an error behind him because he was he was such a perfectionist that he wanted everything done the right way. Right? You don't want to mess up a big moment in his start. So it's always interesting hearing guys that play defense behind Doc Halladay.
What number did you get in Lindy?
My jersey number?
Yeah.
26.
Okay. So you had a good number. All right. In Fenway.
Yeah, I was like, thanks, Boss Ross. He picked out I played a little while. Big league.
Yeah.
Oh, did you have any family in attendance?
Yeah, my whole family was there. Sister,
Cool.
My parents, and then 4 friends of mine from college made the trek up from Mobile, Alabama.
Did you get to hit?
Yeah, I went 1 for 5 that day, the double. So, but my first at bat, I'm advanced runner. I hit a ground ball to second base.
Yeah,
baseball, Lindy.
I think I remember watching that game in New Hampshire. I think they put it up in the big screen subs in Double A, and I remember they were talking about your debut and all that. And I remember you hitting a double off left field, right? The big monster.
Yeah, against the lefty. I mean,
There you go.
the way the world works,
Totally. There's your guy right here. You were.
Lindy.
Totally. Like, this is a different interview than I thought it was going to be. This was much more serious than I thought this was going to be.
What did you think?
And I got to tell the story about Thole because we were.
Oh, if you want to tell stories, feel free.
Yeah.
We are not
on
serious
the,
here.
Oh no,
Yeah,
we're not
just-
serious, man.
Yeah,
we were on
needed
the
your opinion
Jays
on the
winter
DH.
tour. We were in the Jays winter tour, and I don't even know where we were. Somewhere in Canada, not in Toronto. And we went to this local Y, and Josh Thole told all the kids to learn how to throw a knuckleball so he could continue his career. So the whole time of the camp, all we did was work on throwing knuckleballs.
Hey, hey, Lindy. I told them last week on the show. I said I never filed my paperwork. Well, why didn't you file your retirement paperwork? You never know when a knuckleballer doesn't have a catcher to throw to. I could do that. Honestly, I could do that when I'm 45. It'd be a piece of cake.
Come on.
You remember the home opener when JP tried to catch Dickey?
Yeah, I
It was like target practice with the backstop.
I can't. I shouldn't laugh, Lindy. I had many of those days. I remember in Houston one time. It was like 7 drop balls or something, and finally Joe West is like, "Hey, you ever gonna catch any of these?" And I said, "Hey, Joe, you try to catch this thing. You can't even call it right. You think you're gonna catch it?"
He was throwing it like 86 miles an hour, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was hard. Yeah, it was hard.
Oh man.
I remember I was like, I'm gonna let me play catch with them. I told drop and I was like, let me just see one, and I saw one and I was like, I'm not even gonna bother. Hell no. It was
Hey,
nasty, man.
people used to make fun of me. I would play catch with them in the outfield, full gear, right? Like, yeah, I mean, everybody probably always talked about it, right? Like, I'd be out there full gorilla, mask on and everything. But I'd taken too many balls off the side of the neck, and I said, I'm done doing that. I don't want to get hurt before the game happens. It hurts enough when I get hit in the game.
Wait,
Yeah.
the knuckle. They warm up throwing the knuckle?
Yeah, play catch in the outfield, playing long toss with the knuckleball.
No.
That's
Oh,
crazy.
yeah.
I thought they were just throwing it like during their bullpen when they're pitching, like just a regular warm up.
Yeah, just a regular
Oh,
warm-up.
fuck that. Those guys
That's all
are
he could throw. All he could throw. He didn't know how to throw anything else.
Well, he had 5 other pitches, Lindy.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
A stinger, a splitter.
Yeah. I remember one
Lindy,
day
just-
he tried to throw a first pitch fastball by Miguel Cabrera. That was real. It's called Thole.
Lindy, in all honesty, that I remember this. I remember this like it was yesterday. You would get so frustrated when he would try to throw a fastball, and it would always come it would be against like Trout, Miggy, Pujols. It would be against the boppers. First pitch fastball strike. It's like, Oh. Well, I didn't call the pitch. I sit back there like a crash dummy, and he just throws something forward. I catch it.
Hey, did you call pitches at all? Like,
I put fingers down, but he called the game from the mound.
interesting. That's R.A. Dickey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lynn, did you ever hit a knuckleballer?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I
Wakefield.
mean, Wakefield was in our division for years, and then I think I faced Dickey once when I was in Seattle. I faced him in Toronto.
Now, as a hitter, you see that coming. Like, how do you what?
Yeah, that's what you're saying. What? Like, just
And Lindy, just so you know, this thing.
I got into an argument one day with Steven Strasburg about pitching. I was like, the spin rate of R.A. Dickey is just killing the average spin rate in Major League Baseball.
There's no spin, right? Good point. That's a good point. There's no argument. That's an actual real point.
Well, Rick, didn't you send a message in our group chat about how the Orioles have a knuckleballer now?
Somebody did this morning. Yeah, there's a new knuckleballer, so there might be a job for you, JT.
No, I think his name is Eddie Gamboa or something. I don't know. He must be around still. I gotta wait till they get established.
Mike Nicky is.
He only catches big league knuckleballs.
Look at that, Lynn. So, wait, what do you do now?
I'm in college, trying to learn Spanish. I had stats class this morning, so I'm learning all about stats, and I feel like the game has changed so much. If I want to try to get back in the game, I played in the big leagues, and that's not a resume that they want anymore. They want educated people or people that work at batting academies, and that I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to try and get my degree and hit the workforce.
Wait, okay, so you went to the University of South Alabama, and then you get drafted, you leave. So you're in college right now. Where?
Well, University of South Florida. I got denied my first time, so I had to go to junior college for a year.
Oh,
get my GPA up, and then now this is my first semester at real college.
And how much longer you got? You're a junior?
Yeah, I got 14 classes left, so if I was a normal student, I would probably be done next summer or fall, but with kids and stuff, I can only take 2 classes a semester.
That's cool,
and Spanish takes up a lot of time, and
wait,
you mean the Latinos didn't teach you Spanish?
Oh, hell no.
no. Well, I talked to a guy this past week. He's like, I don't even speak Spanish. I just speak Puerto Rican. He's like, I don't even know what Spanish is.
He's right. He's right. Puerto Rican, Dominican, Mexican, it's all different. And then you take an actual college Spanish class, and you're like, what the hell is this? ¿Qué pasó?
True.
Right, you're really majoring in Spanish?
Yeah, I got, here's my book.
No
my,
way.
Sueña.
Español sin barreras. So can you speak it?
I don't have a problem speaking it because I don't care if I mess up, but my ear is way behind because yo solamente tiene un hora por semana para hablar con mi profesora y después la clase yo tengo solamente yo estudio conmigo con quien me.
Wow, he speaks way better than most Mexicans that I know.
What he's saying is that he's only got him to learn Spanish. He can't speak it with anybody else.
That's awesome.
It's a little.
Coño, Lindy.
No. See, you gotta unlearn that one.
Hey, I started last. And now hopefully a general manager will see value in that.
All right,
for sure.
Dude, Lynn, just the fact that you even understand a little bit is a huge asset. Because how many Mexican guys did you play with that didn't understand it or speak it? You know, like Ricky could attest to that because, Ricky spoke it, but then there were some guys that were second, third generation born in the United States where they don't understand it. They can't know what's going on. And then you, in South Florida, you got the Cubans, Venezuelans, the Puerto Ricans, all different world. And, they eat black beans, we eat brown beans. It's a mess, Lynn. It's a mess.
Yeah, I mean, I was telling Ricky last year we saw each other for the Jays tour or whatever that thing was, and he said something to JP in Spanish, and I was like, "Oh, really?" Because that's when I started. I started about a year ago, getting serious, and I understood what Ricky said. He was surprised, and I've been following through with it, man. I've been doing my best.
That's awesome.
I've worked really hard.
Good for you, man.
It's I don't know anything about baseball in Spanish, but I could tell you family members and things like that. But as far as the game, I would need to take a month to learn baseball, el idioma de baseball.
Totally, you speak a little bit, right? You speak the baseball Spanish?
Yeah, like just talking trash. That's what I talk. I don't like that. What Lindy just did, that was so impressive.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Lindy, you could be like the perfect role would be going into a major league system, into an affiliated system, and have the ability to go be a mental coach and those type of things, more than just teaching hitting. And then you bring that experience with it. Shit, it should be endless.
You would think so, right?
I talked to some former coaches of mine, and like they're all unemployed. They're
that's the problem. You're right.
The qualification for what they want is different now than whether it's energy and youth or yes sir people or your knowledge from not even knowing the actual game, but you can somehow translate it from the computer screen or a application, and understanding that more is more important than experience in playing.
Damn, the game has done changed quick. Ha cambiado.
Sí,
mucho.
Ha cambiado.
Qué lástima.
Sí. What is it? My oír?
Oído.
Oído.
Your ear is your oído. No bueno. Well, you got it.
Malo es joven. Mi oído es joven.
Young. Totally like, man, where am I? Where am I right now?
I think you guys should have done this all in Spanish. That would have been good.
Me encanta.
I'm okay with that.
Hey, that's cool. It's cool to listen to how passionate he is about Spanish, and it really is a big requirement. I feel like, or it takes you, I think, to the next level if you understand Spanish, especially in baseball, because there's a lot of young Latin kids who a lot of the times need stuff translated to them, or it just doesn't translate well. So you bring in somebody that knows how to speak their language. One, they feel comfortable, and two, they probably grasp at the instructions a little better than they would if somebody that doesn't speak their language is trying to explain something and they're just looking at the codes what are you talking about?
Right, I think it's a trust factor, right? Like that's why I always took it serious to learn the baseball side of it, so I could have the conversations. And even I would get words wrong all the time, and my sentences would be all screwed up, but they understood what I said, and they gravitated to me because I enjoyed practicing, and they would correct me when I was wrong, but I gave it the effort, and that's all they want.
The effort, that's all that matters.
Speaking Puerto Rican, that's all.
Probably.
Oh man, Len, we appreciate it. We're gonna have you back on in a couple of weeks. We're gonna do a 5-minute Espanol segment with you. All right. So how about that, Thole? All right. So it's March 9th. In April, we're gonna have you back. We're gonna call you, and it's gonna be all in Spanish flow. All right. ¿Estás listo?
Sí, tú sabes.
Oh man.
Yo no puedo que. We're learning subjective, so like I learned the whole language, and now all the endings are way different. So it's like,
hey, and Lynn, just let you know, me and Ricky have no idea what that is because I got to be in Spanish because you're a Spanish speaker, but when you take the writing part of it, oh man, the pretérite and all that.
I'm an A+ AP Spanish guy, man. Come on.
You got an A. Come on.
I know how to conjugate verbs. I know how to do all that good stuff, man.
Look at that Cal State Fullerton education. I am sorry I spoke for you, young man.
I talk to a girl in Mexico every day, and she's from Mexico City. She calls herself Chalanga.
Oh, yeah. That's a different world over there, see?
You see, the funny thing is that's a completely different kind of Spanish that they speak. in other regions of Mexico. It's
Yeah.
crazy, man. It's just, I feel like Spanish is just in its own world.
It's like being from the South, speaking to a guy from L.A., speaking to a guy from upstate New York. You know, but it's beautiful, man. Lindy, good job. We'll talk to you in a month, 5 minutes on Vamos Ricky Roll podcast.
Yo pienso que yo sé por lo menos 5 minutos.
5 minutes? He can do 5 minutes, totally. Totally looking at this like Tony's like, this is like analytics again.
Por lo menos, is that at least? At least?
Yeah, something like that.
Por lo menos. Yeah, por lo menos.
I have my translator set up.
I'm sure there's someone in that studio that can like.
Yeah, in Binghamton. In Binghamton.
A lot. Very diverse where I live, Lindy.
All right, the last words for
Lindy, I'm so excited to see you. Fires me out.
Yeah. I'm glad I finally got invited.
Oh, you're invited every Tuesday. You're invited.
It's only our second show, bro. Relax, calmado.
See.
Same link every week, Lindy. You're in.
All right.
All right. See you guys.
Yeah,
All right, we'll talk to you soon, Adam Lynn. And let's see here. Don't hang up, Tolly. Where you at? Lynn will hang up, and then
All right.
All right, we'll see you. There he goes. Dude. All right, that was interesting for us. Linda's gone. We're still on live right now, Tolly, so don't go anywhere, bro.
I'm here.
Like I said, for your listening, you're wondering, and it's like, how did you guys do that? We're trying different things with the show. I like that idea of having the theme to get to it, and then just talking to them later about life and conversation. What'd you think, Tol?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I mean, his point of the conversation being a little driven too serious, but I think for some of the viewers, that's part of the conversation, right? Like we got to get to the sticking point if we're going to talk DH versus just talking about Lindy's experience for DH. But hearing his opinion, hearing his preparation, I think those are all things that he probably deemed were too serious. But that's I think that's how, in my mind, I think people enjoy hearing those.
I thought it was good. I thought it was good.
And like I said, you're going to get a mixture of guys saying they like the National League rules and the American League rules, leave them as is. There's going to be guys that say, hey, bring the universal DH all across the league. And I think it's just an interesting point. And when you hear the point of views of why it is that they want to keep it as is or add the DH, it's pretty interesting. It makes for an interesting conversation. And, you know, other than these two knuckleheads bashing on pitchers, you know, there's some of it that you do enjoy about getting to the plate on a big league field, and especially if you're successful too. I mean, a lot of guys, like I said, I mentioned Bumgarner earlier. That guy lives for moments like that, and he loves like hitting home runs, and that's all he cares about. So it's going to be tough to take those bats away from guys that think that way.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I liked it. It was fun. He was dry a little bit, but then once we started getting him going, opened
Lindy.
up.
That's Lindy. It's always
Beto. That we knew what that was going to be. He's so funny though. His sense of humor is actually hilarious. He just won't show it. I wear it on my sleeves when I'm dying laughing. He'll be dying inside.
Yeah, I liked it. It was pretty good. We'll definitely do that again. So next week, Roz, I did see your message. For those of you wondering what happened earlier in the show when I said, oh, fuck, my coffee spilled right next to my computer. And you guys saw the screen where my computer just completely fell. I threw my computer. That way the coffee wouldn't go on it. So I saved the show. That's why you guys were talking for a couple minutes. Dude, I got a big old mess to clean up in the Beto Vision studios. But you guys were pros. You carried it. You kept going. Very nice.
Yeah, that's what we do, Beto. You know that.
Yeah. Hey, JT, I can't believe the ace of SoCal is throwing jabs at you, man.
That's not a jab. I'll be dead honest with you. Wait, he's who? Anthony of Orange County?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to start calling him the ace of SoCal because Mike Francesa, I really like that guy.
Yeah.
I look up to him. Ace. Thank you.
See,
there you go.
Well, we appreciate
Anthony of Orange County. Let's go.
That's hilarious. We do see all the comments coming through. We appreciate you guys. We will see you next week. Who's the guest? Don't know. But we do know that in a month from now, Actually, hold on real quick before we log off. You guys were talking about how him learning the Spanish and the analytics on that it should be easy to get a job without getting in trouble here. Thole, how does that not happen? Like a guy like Ricky should be a special assistant somewhere, and I'm speaking for him. You would think that you, who understands catching in some Spanish and knows what it's like, as players, how frustrating is that seeing that?
Well, I think I always say this: baseball is like the circle of life, right? Like it's a vicious circle. It all will come back to what it was at some point in time. Now, the value of having the track record and the credentials to go teach the younger generation is out the window. You have to go to Brown, you have to go to MIT, you have to have those credentials now to get in, and that's fine if that's how it's going to be. But at some point, the younger kids will miss out on the ability to learn from the older generation, whether they want to hear it or not. There's a lot of wonderful knowledge, believe it or not, on top. That's not just a hat rack, right, Ricky? I mean, there's some great knowledge up there, and it's more than knowledge. It's the experiences that these kids need to know how to handle, and how when you can't find the strike zone, or you had a terrible outing, how do we bounce back? How do we deal with it? That's what the older generations of players bring. But Beto, I am certain it will come back. It will come back full circle at some point.
And you do hear it a lot from younger guys, and I've heard it a lot. Every time I go back up to Toronto, they're like, or when I was out, doing games in Vancouver, and I was meeting guys for the first time, they're like, "Hey man, you need to come around more often, and hey, let me know what you see. I'm gonna throw a bullpen. You mind watching it?" Or even like if it was a young position player, "Hey man, it's cool like talking to you," and stuff like that. So it just, all that stuff goes a long way. At the end of the day, it's one thing. Yeah, you have the numbers, you have that part, but the mental side, nobody can teach it other than the guys that have been there for 9 innings, 162 games. That part is just, you can't tell a hitter, an analytical guy can't tell a hitter and say, "Hey, go look for this pitch," and it's like it ain't that easy,
Right. And Lindy, it was interesting. Lindy alluded to when somebody asked if he could go play right now, right? I think, Beto, you asked the question, "Lindy, could you pick up a bat and go play?" He says, "Yeah, I could go play for a week, but I couldn't play for 6 months." That's the cold hard truth about a Major League Baseball season. And you will see that if the industry doesn't go back to what it was, you're going to see guys falter quicker and not know how to get through a 162 game season. We alluded to last week, it's more than just 162 games. You got 20 off days, I think, or so, and then you have spring training. You're looking at over 200 days with your brotherhood, and the ups and downs and the struggles and the aches and pains and the flights and the everything in between is the value that ex players would bring to an organization. And again, I mean, the numbers are fine. There's a place for the numbers, but if you become too analytical heavy, I think you miss out on the other side of the coin.
I agree, and it's something that you said. It's something that you said last week too. The Dodgers, yeah, they went out and got Trevor Bauer, but the most important signing was the captain of the ship, Justin Turner. And it's true, those veteran guys, him running that ship, the team would look completely different if he was in another uniform this year. It would just,
Yep. Ricky, I thought about that comment actually. I was thinking about it like a few days afterwards, and forget just the biggest sign for the Dodgers. You're going to see this is one of the biggest signs in the major leagues. Like if there's one guy you want on your team, it's him. I don't care how good your spin rate is. I don't care what the tangible numbers look like. There's an intangible piece of this. That's the important piece of it. And don't think for a minute if the Dodgers have good health this year, you will see them playing baseball once again at the end of October in the World Series. I think it's just a no-brainer because he is a key component.
Yeah, and this is the one thing I always wondered, and I always like sit here and think about it. Who's going to be the first team that kind of goes back to that old school mentality of we're gonna bunt our way through. We're gonna hit and run. We're gonna steal bases. We want burners. The top 2 hitters are gonna be burners. Our 3, 4, 5 are gonna be the big boppers. The 6, 7, 8 are gonna be the ones that work the count and stuff like that. And I always wonder who's gonna be that first team that kind of takes that step towards that.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see how Tony La Russa handles the White Sox this year. I really am. I mean, he was one of the older guys, the Jimmy Lelands, Bobby Cox. He was in that group. He was out of the game. The analytics have changed in their face, not even while they're managing. And now Tony jumps back into it and is the skipper in Chicago. And how he runs his team, and how also in the American League, which is different. I'm anxious to see if he goes back to that old school style of baseball. I mean, Dave Martinez did it in Washington. They won a World Series. So, like, there's a piece of it. And I think Tony will go back to his old way of managing a little bit.
Yeah, you listen a little bit to Theo Epstein, leaving the Cubs and the comments he had to make about, the way baseball is going and how
he's the one who created the problem.
You're right, Beto. You're right.
It makes him a little like, he's like, man, this is not going the way I wanted it to go, and it's taken away from the game. And you talked about having a pitcher out there for 3 minimum hitters. Does it really make that big of a difference if you're there for 255 rather than 301? No, it doesn't. Your viewers now, can we grow the game a little better? Absolutely, we should. We should grow it a lot better. And you got a lot. They got a lot of work to do to get to that point. But to start making up rules and making up these things about, like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, I think that takes a little bit of the element of the game of baseball that we're used to seeing. The complete games, the battling it out, the having to know that you're gonna face Miggy Cabrera 3 times in one game. I mean, it's stressful as shit. It's like. Like, at one point he's gonna come up with men on base, and you have to bear down and make good pitches. So it's just like I said. I always think, who's gonna be that first team that kind of makes that jump and says, all right, we're gonna flip it on the analytics and kind of just go out there and play hard baseball for 9 innings.
Yeah, well, let's keep our eyes on the White Sox. I think that would be a team that would jump at it first. I mean, Joe Madden in Anaheim might start going back a little more old school. I know he is a little analytical driven, but I still think he understands the cat and mouse game of baseball, the hitting, running, moving guys over. I mean, it's fascinating to me. The objective of baseball is to score more runs than the other team. So if we have an opportunity to score, let's do it. Let's move a guy over into scoring position into third base and sack fly, and now it's 1-0. We're winning. Like, it's not that hard.
Thole should have been playing like in the 40s and 50s, man, where they used to leave the gloves. We used to leave the gloves and share them and everything else. Man.
And I tell you what though, and you know this, JT, from being a catcher. There's nothing more stressful than the first few innings when these guys are putting pressure on your starter, and you're like, oh man, like, the last thing you want is to get into that bullpen, and next thing you know, it turns into a big night. There's a lot that goes into it. So if you have a team that's, the last thing, I'm not saying the last thing a pitcher wants to do is get off the mound, but some of them are uncomfortable. Some of them are uncomfortable getting when somebody lays down a bunt and they have to make a throw to first base and all that stuff. Like, I loved it because I'm an athlete,
Yeah, you are, Ricky. Yes, you are. I believe that. Yes, you are. You know what I mean? And Ricky, I do. And watch spring training. They don't practice it anymore. I've been in camps the last few years. They don't practice. They go through the motions. I call it going through the motions. The coach hitting a one-hop fungo back and you flip it down to second. There's no real, bunt defense. It happens one time in spring training, and that's it. Hey, get it out. Like, okay. No. Take pride in fielding your position. And the good ones do. Clayton Kershaw takes time. He goes out later and does extra work. Like, there's guys that do extra work because they don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want and they don't want to play from behind. You don't want your back up against the wall in the first freaking inning.
I talked earlier about how Roy Halladay, playing defense behind him, try being in the same group during spring training, during PFPs, and how intense he is. And it's like, you better not fuck up that PFP. PFP is pitchers fielding practice, for those that don't know. But he took it so serious, and he pulled me aside one day. He's like, "You got 15 seconds on that bump. Take it about as game-like as possible as you can." And from there on, I was like, I always took it serious, but I think that jolted me to another level of thinking. I was like, all right, I really have this moment's gonna come up during a game. It really is, and it sounds cliche because you hear it so much, but it really does come up during a game, and you better be ready for it. And he was always ready. He was one of the best at fielding his position, and
no question.
So I wanted to be that way too. I was like, hey, anytime I get the ball on the mound and I'm doing a drill, I'm going 110%. I don't care. It's very game-like, and it kind of sucks that it's not done the way it once was done, because those are big parts in a game that win or lose you ball games. It always happens, and it always comes back to haunt you.
And you always end up seeing that stuff in the World Series where all of a sudden a guy's asked to bunt.
Yeah.
I haven't bunted in 8 years, or
Yep.
fielded a bunt in so many years.
You are exactly right, Beto. That was always my argument. Everybody changes how they manage the game in the postseason, right? Like, because it's April 30th, you don't try to get the bunt down because our numbers say you have a better shot to hit a double or hit a home run or give me 3 guys to do that. It's completely different in the postseason when they say, oh, we need to play for a run. Like, one thing I've learned is every game counts over 162. I will never forget, and I will forget the year. I think it was 2016 when we were playing in the wild card game. We ended up in the wild card game at home against Baltimore. But we were in a scenario in Boston at the last game of the season. There was like a 6-way tie for who was going to be the wild card teams and where the game was going to be played.
Oh, you were part of that. Okay.
I was part of that team. So you think out of all of that, right? 162 game season, it comes down to 4 or 5 teams all being bunched up and tied at the end of the year. Like, and how many games games just got away from us, or whatever it may be. All it would have been was to take care of the ball one time, and we didn't do it.
Yeah, we can go on and on about this conversation,
and we will,
like, because it does happen. It does happen where it always comes up late in the year, or late. How many times have we seen it that late in the year? Oh, a team's got to play an extra game because the teams are tied. All that stuff, and you go back and you look at that one game where you messed up a bunt defense or you threw a ball away, and it makes a huge difference. It count April 1st. The games count all the way up through the end of September. Always.
The same way.
And we'll have the same conversation next week. Maybe we'll have a guest. Maybe we won't. Fernando Esquivel says, you guys are forever upgrading the mics. You sound far away, Beto. Yeah, because I was told I was too hot. So I've been messing with my microphone. Ricky sounds good. Totally sounds good. I'm trying to figure out, hey, man, look, I'm here by myself, bro. It's just me, all right? So, like, I'm here for you. Nobody's paying me. Nobody's helping me out. Totally's got a professional in the studio. Ricky's got his own Costa Rica thing. It's just me doing it all by myself. But, I'm not complaining. No, it's actually fun, though. But Fernando Escobar, appreciate you leaving that comment. Make sure you go rate and review. Let us know what's going on. I am messing with the microphone because I know that I get a little too hot. I get a little too animated, so I'm trying to mess with the levels for you there. But this was a fun show. Definitely do it again next week. Go to the Instagram page, Let's Go Ricky Rowe. Share with friends. Let them know what's going on, because I think we're getting the feel and the vibe of how we want this show to go. And as our good friend Jess Ray, who's a great kid, you'll love him totally. He's the one who replaced the Ace of SoCal as our friend. He said Thole is so good. So that kid knows talent. We will see you guys next week.
Thanks, buddy.
Thole, go back to your roof. Go back to being Farmer Josh. Rick, I hear kids in the background yelling at you.
Yeah.
All right.
Standard.
Never ends.
Never
All right,
ends,
boys.
All right, we'll see you guys
All
next
right.
week. Thanks for listening.
We'll see ya.
Bye.